Oh, what's going on, guys? If you're new here, welcome. If it's not your first time, welcome back. It's No Bullshit Podcast. It's Kyle.
Yo, it's Coughlin.
And listen, man, it's been a long time coming. You know what I mean? And life been lifing. A lot of stuff has
Yeah.
gotten in the way of us recording, but we were able to find some time to sit down and talk about some football, man. So, without that, further ado, Cochran, what's up, man?
Yeah, man. Shoot. Lots of things has happened since like the last time we recorded. I think the last time we recorded was like a little bit over a month ago, right? And so obviously a lot of off-season moves has happened. I mean, just to quickly highlight, I mean the best free agent left that was out in the market, Justin Simmons. He ended up going to the Falcons, right? And him being on the Falcons on a new revamped regime with Raheem Morris as a new head coach. It's gonna be really interesting about the Falcons, how they approach the season, because honestly, in my opinion, they should be the favorites to win that division because they actually have a quarterback now, right? But we'll see what the Bucs got to say about it, and who knows? Maybe the Panthers do better, or maybe even the Saints. But we all know how we feel about the Saints.
Yeah, fuck Derek Carr. I just feel like I just had to get out the way, but a lot of moves have been made by each of our teams. You know what I mean, 49ers and Chargers. So I'll start off with my Bolts. In my opinion, there's a lot of moves that been made. You know what I mean, all teams cut down to the final 53. And still some moves are made after. Me, in my opinion, and all Chargers fans can honestly agree at this point, one of the biggest moves of the offseason was us trading for Taylor Heineke. Let me get this out the way. Easton Stick is ass. Like, he's not a good football player. Like, he's one of the rare guys that you see that I think he's been in the league like 6 years. You know what I mean? As a backup quarterback, and even when he has gotten the opportunity to play, he has not been good. He has not put good tape out there. So it in my opinion, going into this season, there was a lot of pressure on him to, really solidify that backup quarterback spot. And he really has not done that. You know what I mean? Even in the 3 preseason games that he played in, he got most of the reps. He just did not perform well. He threw a hospital ball to Hayden Hurst that, damn near put him out for the season. So us trading for Taylor Heineke was necessary. We needed a guy that is used to this position. You know what I mean? A guy that you can trust that, God forbid anything happens to Justin Herbert, he can step in and he still gives you a chance of winning the game. You know what I mean? So definitely looking forward to seeing Taylor Heineke kind of get up to speed with the playbook or whatever. And hopefully at that point we'll be able to, cut Easton Stick because he does not deserve to be in the NFL. But yeah, man, you know what I mean? What's one of the biggest moves you guys made?
Honestly, in terms of big moves, I think like our rookies, honestly, like a rookie class. Start off one of them, Isaac Guerrero, a guy that we drafted in the 4th round. And it's funny that during the press conference when we drafted Isaac Guerrero, our coach Kyle Shanahan made a joke where it's basically where he always drafts running backs in the 3rd round. So he decided to not draft it in the 3rd round, but draft it in the 4th round. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of comedic about that. But no, he played pretty well in the preseason. There was this one highlight, if you guys didn't see, where like he broke off a kickoff return for like 90 something yards, left us up on the goal line pretty much, right? He's third in our rotation for a kick returner, which is really interesting. And it's like one of those things where like rookies, where if you're not able to play regularly, you have to contribute some way, somehow, and that's on special teams, right? That's how you get acclimated, right? So him making the roster, honestly, all of our rookies making the roster is obviously sometimes it's not that surprising, but a guy like a Jacob Cowing, he's our starting punt returner, and like he's actually I think 4th or 5th in our rotation. And speaking of our wide receiver rotation, my man, Chris Conley. What a revive of his career after that Super Bowl performance that he had. He played amazing and pretty much continued into like the training camp, preseason, and all that. And he's our 4th receiver right now, and that's albeit because Ricky Pearsall is on a IR because of
Mhm.
the tragic event that just happened. So there's that. But it's looking really good. Our rookies, pretty much for the most part, honestly, is probably one of our most promising drafts since, like, I'd say, like a few years back, like 2 3 years back. I'm that confident about it. So it's gonna be interesting how they can contribute. And in terms of like signings or per se, it's not really, we didn't really sign anybody. It was just a drag, man. You guys already know it. It was a drag
Mhm.
about the Brandon Ayuk, contract and everything. He ultimately got 120 mil for over like
Yeah.
what 4 or 5 years or something like that. 30 mil a year. So, shout out to him getting that bag. But it's gonna be interesting because we also just re-signed Trent Williams today, right?
Mhm.
And so it's just mind-boggling to see how my team is able to just constantly pay these players premium dollar, right? But at the same time, we're out here creating hella cap space. I
Mhm.
think like Debo just restructured his contract or whatever, right? So we created even more cap space. I think we're up to like almost like 68, 69 mil now, right? But all that being said, it's all anticipated that all that cap is not going to be used. It's just going to be rolled over to next year because a lot
Yeah.
of our big contracts are like, uh, kicking in to next year. So yeah,
You know, that's the thing. Like these GMs, man, especially at the highest level, they know how to crunch those numbers, right? All the best GMs, they know how to make the cap work. You know what I mean? Make it work for them, make it flexible. I've always had the thought process of there's always a way. You know what I mean?
yes,
If the team wants to have these players on their team, they can find a way. You know what I mean? So and sometimes it just doesn't it's just not worth it. You know what I mean? To go through the lengths of restructuring and trying to crunch the numbers. If you got like maybe like a player like Keenan Allen, as much as I love him, it was one of those things where he is getting up there in age, and it wasn't like he was the healthiest player to begin with. So especially new regime coming in, kind of want to be more run heavy. Love Keenan. He's not that good of a run blocker. So the more time goes on, the more I understand the move. Like again, my heart is still healing, but my mind gets it. You know what I'm saying? And on that note, you know what I mean, just our wide receivers, I'm I've been impressed with what I've seen. You know what I mean, from a Josh Palmer, from a Lad McConkey, even a DJ Chark, which he,
mm,
he was a guy we really needed. You know what I mean, a vet. In that locker room that has played, on many different teams and many different schemes that can really, help coach up some of these young guys. That's our top three, right? So very interested to see, what I mean, what this new offense looks like. Listen, I wouldn't be opposed to us being a more run heavy offense. Like that's something I've
for
been
sure.
kind of wanting for a while now, and I've said it in past videos. I believe, like I think the years of Brandon Staley and Anthony Lynn and all that, I feel like they'll pay off in the long run with Herbert in terms of his development. Is because I feel like it accelerated his development as a passer. You know what I mean? Where now he doesn't have to be Superman. He's spent so many years
Exactly.
being Superman. He doesn't have to anymore. Where now it's okay. Here's clutch time. This is now the time to be Superman. Kind of like a Tom Brady. I mean, Tom Brady wasn't, carrying the team for 4 quarters. You know what I mean? He would, like all the best do. He manages the game for about 3 quarters until it gets to crunch time, close game. Okay, now it's time to kick that up. You know what I mean? Now it's
Yep.
time to put that cape on. You know what I mean? I feel like if you have to do everything for your team for 4 quarters, you don't have a good shot at winning football games. You know what I mean? So definitely looking forward to the improved run game. I was just talking about we converted Scott Matlock, who was originally a defensive tackle, 6'4", 300 pounds. We converted him to a fullback. This is going to be interesting to see. I've never seen some shit like this. You know what I mean? So definitely an indicator of where this offense is headed. And then just the defense. You know what I mean? Two of our weakest points last year was our run game and our defense, and I feel like both of them have dramatically gotten better. Like even though yes, it's preseason, but the things I've been able to see from our defense was very promising. And again, that's even with our backup. So I can only imagine when you got guys like Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa and Tui um, on the edge and Bud Dupree, like I'm very interested to see this edge rush attack, and then the corners. Like, we know who Asante Samuel is, but I'm a big fan of Christian Fulton, LSU ties. Jasir Taylor, I feel like he's pretty much locked up that nickel spot. But then we got some rookie corners that have really shown a lot of promise, man. So just not Jasir Taylor, Dean Leonard, who was not a
Ooh.
rookie, but he's, I think, going to his third year. He's flashed a lot in the preseason. I believe he had that one crazy pick against the Rams. Very, very good player. Very interested to see how this, defense looks. The safety tandem with Alohi Gilman, who broke out last season. I've been on record saying I've not been a fan of Alohi Gilman, but he has completely turned me into a believer, man. Like, his ball skills, I don't know where they came from, but I'm happy he got them now. You know what I mean? So that safety tandem with him and DJ. Tony Jefferson had a crazy preseason game. That DB room is looking promising, but I feel like that's a kind of a perfect segue into some of the games we're looking forward to this year. You know what I mean? Like, kind of our top three games we're looking forward to. Obviously, looking forward to all 17. But
Mm-hmm.
what is your top three?
Shoot, man, like you said, like looking at all these games here that we got going on first week. Honestly, bro, I'm just excited that football is here, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I feel like every off season for football that it's always a drag it's always a drag, right? But now we're finally here, and first matchup got here for us is I got Titans and Bears, Titans and Bears, right? And people might say why, but I think it's going to be a very interesting game. I mean, you got two teams that are trying to prove themselves. Titans, they got a new head coach, Brian Callahan. Head coach from, oh, no, sorry, offensive coordinator from the Bengals, and they added a lot of pieces. If you guys don't know, I think I think they probably had one of the best off seasons in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're talking about where a team where they already had D Hop, but they added Ridley and Boyd and Pollard as offensive
Mm-hmm.
weapons for Will Levis. Right on the opposite end for defense, they got Sneed, Awuzie. They already had, I think they had Diggs. No, they added Quandre Diggs. And then they added your boy, your favorite player, Kenneth Murray.
Mm-hmm.
And then they drafted a guy in Cedric Gray, but he's on IR right now, so it's gonna be interesting how he does. But the main guy I'm interested in seeing and how he plays in their scheme is T Swift. Uh,
Yep.
from Texas, he's a big, he's a big boulder, pretty much, right? So it's gonna be interesting how he plays, especially with the conditioning problems he had in the draft process. So yeah, and then you look at the Bears, man. Do I have to say anything else about the Bears? It's Caleb Williams,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's time to put up or shut up, right? You got all this hype coming in, probably one of the most hyped QBs we've ever seen, right? I'm not, and this is a quarterback where, you know, he's been given the opportunity to do great things right off the bat,
Yep.
right? You're talking about offensively, this is probably one of the best situations that QBs can walk into.
Mm-hmm.
A wide receiver room with Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, who just got paid, Roma Duzier, Swift, Cole Komet, and a bunch of other guys, right? And to back that up, they got a defense who, in the latter half of the season, they were top three in all stats. Man, talking about pass defense, run defense up there. They're playing lights out. Just that their offense couldn't really do much last season because they didn't really have a quarterback and they were just having a lot of injuries. But it's going to be interesting how that goes. And yeah, I'm just excited to see these young guys, these teams, hungry, trying to prove themselves. And honestly, in a division where, it's pretty hard, but if they're able to make some waves, who knows? They could shock a few people and come maybe second or dare I say first in the division, man.
Wow.
That's the
That's a super take.
yeah. Who knows?
Yeah, I feel like what I mean. Like, I was just watching this or looking at this graphic on Instagram. It was something
Mm-hmm.
like first overall picks have yet to win their very first start.
Yes.
So listen, what I mean, it's a small record, but it would be one to put into history books for Caleb Williams if he's able to find a way of winning this game. Very winnable game from both sides. You know, what I mean, kind of both teams, like you just said, like kind of walking in with a lot of expectations, a lot of retooling of the roster. So it's a lot of mystery, right? You know, Will Levis going into the second season, seeing, you know what I mean, if he can kind of take that next step. And kind of jumping off that in terms of kind of that division, I feel like the game I'm looking forward to is Texans and Colts. You know what I mean? Like two very similar to Will Levis, two second year quarterbacks, right? You know, we saw what the Texans showed us last year. We saw some flashes from Colts, right? So well, and from what I've seen and remember, and you know, Colts and Texas fans could correct me if I'm wrong. This matchup has always been close. You know what I mean? For years,
Yes.
these teams have always battled. So I think this will be an exciting game. Just two young guys leading their team. So you know, curious to see who comes out on top. Obviously, with the Stephon Diggs moves, the Mixon, the Hunter move. You know, what I mean, the Texans have really loaded up. You know, what I mean, they're really
Yep.
trying to swing big while CJ Stroud is on that rookie deal, and you know the Colts have made some quiet moves. You know, what I mean, kind of getting younger, getting faster, revamping that wide receiver room. So very interested to see, you know, what a full season of Anthony Richardson, what he can show us, what he can, you know, kind of do in this league. So
Yes.
very, very interested to see that matchup, right? You know, obviously divisional game, you want to get that game out the way. You want to be able to win that game. If I'm not mistaken, I think the Colts are at home. Yes, the Colts are at home. So from the Colts standpoint, you want to take care of home, right? Especially in the divisional game, you want to take care of those divisional home games. So very interested to see, you know, I mean, how that game kind of pans out.
Oh yeah, for sure. And honestly, just to piggyback off of that, like Anthony Richardson, people quickly forget the flashes that he had, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like when he was able to play, he was he was something else. He was something different, right? And it was a game where I think he played against the Packers, I believe, where I think that was when he quote unquote broke out. Where I saw that, where I kind of saw from my standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
from a passing game standpoint and a running game standpoint, where he can affect the game in all areas, not only from transition from the college level but to the NFL level, right? So it's gonna be interesting how, like you said, how he enters his second year. And talking about the Packers, I got my second match I'm looking forward to is going to Brazil, Packers and Eagles, right?
Mm-hmm.
These two teams, like I think it's a common theme that I got going on here. Two teams that constantly need to prove themselves,
Yep.
right? Talking from the Packers standpoint, they were a few they were a few plays away from knocking out the Niners in the divisional round, right? They're a team that got really hot, and usually when teams get really hot near the end of the season, they tend to kind of stay on track, onto course. Like with the Lions, we've seen before,
Yep.
right? So it's going to be a big year with Jordan Love at the helm and the new receivers, just like building chemistry. And come on, man, Jordan Love, that he got the bag. I mean, was it expected? No, but at the same time, that's where the league is trending to. Is like the next QB is going to be like the next highest paid,
So,
right?
100%.
So it's only bound to happen for any other QB, right? But you're looking for the Eagles standpoint. Do I have to say anything else? I mean, the Eagles. I mean, all you Eagles fans that's watching right now, you guys already know that you guys had a very very bad ending to the season,
Mm-hmm.
right? Starting off 10-1 or something like that, and then just ending it off with I think still 11 wins or 10 wins or something like that, and get knocked out first round,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so they had they switched out their coaching regime in terms of like offensive coordinators, defensive coordinator. I'm expecting them to do a lot better this year. Now that you have a guy and a Kellen Moore and a I think Fangio on defense as well, and so Jalen Hurts, this is a big year for him. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if I and
Also got
if
a new
I'm not
deal.
exactly right, and I'm not trying to be biased or anything, but like, when you really look at his career, right? He has had one really good season. It's time for him to build up on that and see the improvements, right?
Yep.
Because like, we all know QB. I'm not gonna, put too much. hate or too much criticism on him because it wasn't all his fault. But you could see that a lot of plays where he just turned the ball over the ball too much. It was just too much, right? And so we'll see how that starts off with the Packers. And obviously, it is just one game, but it's one game that can honestly define how the season can go, right?
100%.
And so Eagles, Packers, they play on a neutral field. It's gonna be really interesting how that goes. I do give the Eagles a slight edge just because I
Mhm.
think their offense is that good with the
Yeah.
a Saquon Barkley and everything, right? And they just got Jahan Dawson, so
Mhm.
that's another factor for them to use. And yeah, I just think their offense would be a little bit too much to handle for the Packers.
Yeah, yeah. On paper, that offense is real. You know what I mean? They got
Mm-hmm.
some ballers. So if I'm confident in Kellen Moore, he was our offensive coordinator here for a little bit in LA. And to be honest, he just did not have the right weapons to do what he wanted to do. You know what I mean? And a lot of that was just unfortunate injury luck, or lack thereof. So, game that I feel as though the second game I feel as though is like really sneaky good for week one. I got Rams Lions. I think
Mm.
that is a game that it could be, you know what I mean, a track meet. You know what I mean? Like both teams made some improvements in their secondary in the off season. Kind of the Lions really revamped a lot their entire DB room and like
Yep.
I said, very similar to the Rams. Picking up a lot of different DBs. So both of these quarterbacks going into another year in the same offense, I feel like consistency is key in this league. You know what I mean? The more you can
Yes.
avoid changing coordinators is the better chance your team has for success. So I feel like both of these teams will be able to really hit the ground running, right? Because most of their players they've played in both these systems for at least a year, right? So I'm looking forward to year two, Puka Nakua. Looking for a full healthy season of Cooper Cup. Really seeing what a full season of those two will look like, full season of Kyron Williams, and then on the Lions side, potential JMO breakout season. You know what I mean? The buzz in the building in Detroit is this guy looks like the real deal. You know what I mean? He's not messing around this year, so very interested to see. Week one. This game could be fireworks, man. Like I can't give you an over under or total points, but I feel like this is going to definitely be a game. Sunday night football. I'll be watching, so very interested
Oh
to
yeah.
see how both these teams play out.
Yeah, man, and keep on that topic of just pretty much fireworks, popcorn. I think it's another primetime matchup that I'm looking forward to, and not even being biased. I'm just saying facts. Jets versus Niners, man.
Hmm.
Man, oh man, this before this game happened. Like, if you were to talk to me, I feel like let's say a week ago about how I would have felt if when we played the Jets, I'm shitting my pants. I'm not gonna lie, I'm shitting my pants because we had no Brandon Ayuk sign, we had no Trent Williams sign, and
Hmm.
honestly, if I had to choose at the current moment a week ago, I was like, just sign Trent Williams at least, because like I'm telling you, our backups are ass.
Hmm.
Like it's so bad, it's so bad that I just don't understand why we keep on neglecting drafting an O lineman, especially on the left side for Trent Williams, because you never know if he's injured or not,
Yeah.
right? So there's that, but nah, good. All things being said, they're both signed now. I'm feeling a
Hmm.
lot better. Um, don't get me wrong. The Jets defense is really, very good. It's gonna be really tough, right? But I think what we're gonna test them in is what our strength is going to test their weakness pretty much,
Hmm.
which is running the ball. And they have one of the bottom half run defenses in the league, especially from last year, right? So it's gonna be interesting about that. It's a bit also in that game. You got Aaron Rodgers come back from injury,
Hmm.
right? And funny enough, the guy who injured him is on our team, right?
Hmm.
So I'm not sure if he's going to see nightmares, going to see flashes again. You go see him just fall to the ground, But it's gonna be interesting how Aaron Rodgers play in his first game back from Achilles injury. Um, you know, the Jets season is coming down to him.
Yep.
Like he has to perform. If he doesn't perform, the Jets season is just where it has been these last few years, or
Mhm.
honestly, these last 50, 60 years, man.
Mhm.
Have him going to the Super Bowl in like what since like the Joe Namath era,
Mhm.
right? And all the times that they went to the AFC Championships from a while back, they've always lost, right? So yeah, it's a tough matchup, but I'm confident in my team and the Niners. I'm gonna just put it this way: I'm done with the bullshit. I'm honestly done, bro. Like I'm done with the bullshit. Look, I love competing. I love winning. I love being in the contention of winning. But enough
Mhm.
of all that bullshit. Enough of all that. It's time to win.
Mhm.
Like this is just like when people are thinking about like, oh, they're Niners going to be a good team for now and then a few years going on. And yeah, sure, you could easily say that, but like you look at our roster. Like we have to win this year because after this year, our roster's going to look completely different.
Mhm.
Talking about next, I'm gonna name some key free agents just real quick about who we have this upcoming offseason, like next offseason. We got Hufanga, we have
Mhm.
Charvarius Ward, Deommodore Lenore, Dre Greenlaw. Um, I think Aaron Banks, our left guard. Um, what's it called? And a few other key pieces. I think Javon Hargrave. It
Mhm.
might be he might be a free agent. I'm not too sure, but yeah, those are a lot of key pieces, especially on the defense, man.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting how he does, how that plays out. But this is a game of Brock Purdy.
Mhm.
This is the game where Brock Purdy has to go out there and say, "This is my team. I need to see some authority from this season. Not only just this game, but just throughout the whole season. Because what the Niners need to see is if he is the QB of our future.
Mhm.
Yes, I can believe that, but I got to see it. It's enough. It's enough of like hoping and all this. I just want to see it happen, man. But ultimately, I do have us winning that game. It's gonna be very close at the end, but I do have us like
Um, enough in very similar fashion. Most anticipated game I'm looking forward to is Raiders Chargers. Right, another divisional game. But different from all these other games, I'll actually be there. So this is going to be the first Chargers game I'm going to in person in LA.
nice.
A couple years back, I went to Eagles Chargers game. Listen, we won the last game I went to, so hopefully, I could be a little bit of a good luck charm. We can win this game, start the season off right with the win column. Um, this is a heavily anticipated game. At least from the Chargers side. A lot of turnover in terms of the coaching staff and players. Um, I'll just be candid. We have a better roster than the Raiders, right? So there should be no reason why we don't win this game, right? So the outlook of this team and the outlook of this season really does start with week one, right? What type of team are we? What kind of culture do we have? What kind of guys on this roster do we have? So I feel like it'll definitely be exciting. I'm looking forward to it. Everything's already booked, so I'm just waiting, ready to go. But it's just one of those things where this team has a lot of potential. This is a boomer bust team this year. You know what I mean? Like I feel like we have a lot of talent to boom, but also just being realistic. This is the first year of a rebuild. You know what I mean? So I would not. It wouldn't surprise me if we busted. You know what I mean? And trying to get more talent on this team. So I'm interested to see really how everything shapes up, especially in person. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that game. Those are top three games that we're looking forward to. And since we got a little bit of time left, I feel like we can talk a little bit about, college football. College football just started.
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys are fans of the college game or if you guys have been tuned in, but if not, we'll talk about some of, the games that, we thought were interesting or some of the moments we thought were interesting. So, off the bat, I'll let, Cochran take a swing at it.
yeah, man, and man, it's only been like the first game or two games or so for some teams of the college football season, and let's just start off with a bang, man. You
Mm-hmm.
want to talk about a crazy matchup? Let's start off with Colorado and North Dakota State, man. Talking about no defense or barely any defense playing,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the first half. That was a crazy first half, man. I think they gave up a Hail Mary touchdown or something like that near the
No, it
end.
was like 5 yards short.
5 yards short. Okay, okay. But it's always something crazy,
Mhm.
something like that. But Shador Sanders, Travis Hunter, main highlights of the game,
Yeah.
right? People were talking about them the whole time. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
Shador Sanders, always throwing up that watch. Ice code, right? But I think it kind of overshadowed. I know Travis Hunter had a 3 touchdown game, but I think kind of overshadowed. I think one of my players of the game is Horn Jr.
Mhm.
Right? He had a great game. I think with him in that offense with the Travis Hunter, it could be really interesting how he how that plays out for Colorado.
Mhm.
That said, although Colorado did win, they kind of squeezed it out at the end. It's
Oh.
kind of worrying at the same time because they know there's way better competition out there,
Oh.
right? So it's the difficulty in matchups is always going to get harder, but
Mm.
it's going to be interesting. It's a win to win is a win, but nowadays in college football, it depends how you win,
Oh.
right?
100%.
It's and so it's going to be interesting how where they rank. I don't know where they're ranked right now, or even if they are ranked right
No,
now,
I don't believe
but
it.
yeah, so it's still going to take like a Mount Hill climb if they ever want to make the collegiate football for playoffs or whatever. So yeah, I think Travis Hunter. There's nothing else being said. Playing offense and defense, pretty much all the snaps. It's This man is fucking insane, man. I don't think you ever see anything like it, at least like modern day per se, right? Um, so it's gonna be interesting. Like I'm not sure if he's able to do that in the NFL, right? I feel like it's gonna be interesting how his draft process is gonna go to see if teams say, hey, yo, I want you to play cornerback for our team full time and not play receiver, or vice versa, right? So it's interesting where he lands in that future draft, because that can be the difference of being top 5 or top 10 or top 15, right? So it's gonna be interesting with that said, and then Shador, like I said, he's cementing himself as like a lead candidate for a Heisman, right? And shoot, not even just Heisman, one of the top QBs, and not only top QBs but top players in the draft, top 3, if that, right?
100%.
So yeah.
Yeah. Quickly speak on the Colorado thing. Um, for one, for a lot of people, especially if you're not that tapped into college football, North Dakota State is no slouch, right? Like they are a well run program at at the FBS level. They have won multiple championships. They've been that dominant force of that side of the college football universe. So I knew going into this game, like Colorado gonna have to fight for this one. I mean, it's not going. They're not the type team that's gonna roll over. Cam Miller, he is a baller. Like watching that game, like he is a guy that he's a football player. What I mean? There's some guys that are wide receivers, there's some guys that are quarterbacks, some guys that are running backs, O line, whatever. And there's just some guys that are football players. What I mean? You put them on the
Yes.
field and they're gonna play football. And that's what he did. What I mean? He had the team on his back. I feel like it was a lot of coaching moments where they took him off the field where they really shouldn't have. In favor for the backup to try to, use his legs. But Cam Miller was their leading rusher. So I feel like those plays should have been used with him because I feel like he was really all the momentum that team had. And then for Colorado, in terms of their expectations, like obviously you go into a season, you're not saying to yourself, you know, winning 8 games is good for us. I mean? They're obviously, they're gonna talk about trying to make the playoff, whatever. But I feel like if we're just being realistic, any fan that thinks that this team can compete with, some of the powerhouses in college, they're just delusional. I mean? Both sides of the spectrum, whether you're, watching them as a fan or whether you hate watching them, like you're just delusional. Like this team is an exciting team. It has some players on it, but they're just not big enough on both sides of the line. They're just not big enough to compete with, the college powerhouses of the world. And listen, they got a big time matchup with Nebraska coming up a week two. So I'll be very interested to see just how they compete, compared to last season. But when it comes to rebuilding a team, both college or pro level, it's a process. You can't rush it. So, but with Travis Hunter and Shador, like these are two of the best players in college football, in my opinion. Maybe the best wide receiver quarterback duo in college, right? So both of these guys, if they keep on this trajectory and no injuries or whatever, there should be no reason why both these players don't go top five. You know what I mean? There should be no reason. So very interested to see, kind of where Shador ends in the and Travis for that matter in the Heisman uh, rankings at the end of the season. So looking forward to that. But in my opinion, as an LSU homer, I got to talk about that LSU game real quick because I know we coming up on time.
Do
Like,
you think, man?
listen, man, Brian Kelly. Like when he got hired, a lot of Notre Dame fans were telling LSU fans, thank you. You know what I mean? Thank you for taking him off our hands. And I'm starting to see why. You know what I mean? Kind of his late game clock management and play calling is it makes you want to hit your head against a wall. You know what I mean? You got Garrett Nussmeier who's been balling all game long. And it's like in the fourth quarter in crunch time, they just took the ball out of his hand. You know what I mean? They kind of put him on a leash in terms of the offensive scheme. They didn't let him sling the rock. And the fact that Kyron Lacy, he almost had 100 yards at halftime and didn't catch a ball for the rest of the game, that bothers me. That bothers me that you're not able to scheme up your guy and get him open and get him the ball. Because he, again, another guy that was balling. A run game came together late in the game, but it was just like some of our play calling was very questionable, was very conservative, and you're not going to win games, in the SEC being conservative, right? We saw 2 years ago Jaden Daniels leads a game-winning touchdown against Alabama to knock them off. Like that wasn't conservative. You know what I mean? That was listen. We're going to go balls to the wall and try to win this game, but I feel like Brian Kelly, he just wasn't trying to win this game. And then some of the comments he made after the game was saying that his quarterback got outplayed. Like it's shit like that bothers me. You know what I mean? Where you're supposed to be a leader of men and you're not leading men. You know what I mean? You're pointing a finger, you're throwing people under the bus week one. You know what I'm saying? So this could be potentially a very long season, but listen, I'm gonna stand by my team regardless.
Yeah, it's and just to comment on that, that was just kind of insane because I watched the back half of that game, especially near the end, and then I actually watched the press conference because I had nothing else better to do, right? And when he said those first few words, bro, I was shocked. Like at the end of the day, like it took me a minute to process it, but I shouldn't be shocked
Mm-hmm.
because all the things that all the things that LSU fans has been, telling everybody, it's like straight up true, man. Like the behaviors, tendencies that he's had when he was in Notre Dame, it just carried over to here, right? And hopefully it doesn't, right? But something needs to change, right? There
Mm-hmm.
was a reason why he was let go. There's a reason why that he's not the program director or the coach of the Notre Dame anymore, right? So yeah, that was just mind boggling of how he handled that situation, and the whole like uh fist slamming the desk. It just kind of cracked me up because I saw the memes about it. But yeah, the next game, or should I say player of the week, man, Ashton Gianti,
Mm-hmm.
a running back from Boise State. He just put the whole college football world on notice and draft scouts on notice. Talking about first game of the season, man. First game, 6 tutties, 267 yards on 20 carries. That's averaging 13.4 yards a carry, man. And he just had himself a field day, man. Like, yes, did they play a team that is, trash? Yeah, sure. But to put up those stats, that's insane. That's insane, man. And he played throughout the whole game, I'm pretty sure, like in moments here and there, right? But I think that showcased a, I guess, a debate of who could be the best running back coming out the draft classes, right? And that might be crazy to say now, right? Because it's so early on in the season. Who knows? He had one good game and then he turns to shit, right? You never know, right? But I think this is I think he just laid an egg in a good way, in the
Yeah.
sense that all these scouts look at me, like come scout me,
Yep.
right? enough, and I kind of tend to like gear towards players that don't really get that much attention, like the underrated guys who fly under the radar, but the teams that are able to find those guys are like just the best GMs that do what they do. And Ashton Gianti, I think he's going to set a lot of records if he keeps this up. And obviously, it's only one game, right? But 6 touchdowns right off the rip.
Mm-hmm.
I think it sets him up pretty good in whatever records he got to break, right? And funny enough, he broke like 2 records for Boise State in the same game, which is crazy, right? You don't see that often, right? And I just had to highlight. I know Travis Hunter had this 3 touchdown game, but Asher Gianti, I think it's just player of the week, man. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to find a player, that balled out to the level of him. But I feel like, T Mac for Arizona, Arizona wide receiver, 10 catches, 304 yards, 4 touchdowns. I believe he was like 1 yard short of having 5 touchdowns. Like, he was balling. He was like 304 yards on 10 catches.
Man.
That's crazy. That's about 30 yards a clip.
Yep.
That's fucking crazy. Like some teams average about maybe 2 to 5 30-yard plays in the entire game. And just him alone, he averaged 30 yards a catch, right? So definitely crazy. Elite game, 4 touchdowns again. Like, listen, man, this wide receiver class can really shape up to be one of the good ones, one of the great ones. We got a lot of talent everywhere. Him, I believe, Burton. I think he had like 3 touchdowns himself. Like, listen, this if these guys keep playing at this level, like, it's going to be very interesting to see, again, how this draft shapes out.
And yeah, man. Speaking on the receivers, I know he's not eligible for the draft just yet, but man, I'm telling you, this freshman from Ohio State, man, Jeremiah Smith, he's the real deal, man. Like, you're talking about a guy who, I think he lost his I don't know what they call it. I think red stripe or iron stripe or whatever.
Black stripe.
Black stripe. Yeah, is that color. Yeah. So he lost his stripes pretty early on, right? Which is, I think it's the first time or fastest in program history, I think, right? And just looking at that game they just had, you just obviously see, even though with Emeka Ibuka, or I think that's how you say his name, Ibuka or whatever, even with him on the team, and you would think that he's like the number 1 read, right? But no, Jeremiah Smith, he's slowly turning heads and saying that, yo, this is my team, and I will get the number 1 share in targets, right? And so it's gonna be interesting how he pans out his collegiate career, but it looks pretty bright.
Yeah, and listen, from here on out, we'll definitely give you guys some more weekly content, whether it's a lot. The season is ramping back up, so go with the videos. You know what I mean? Back to football, back to where we started. You know what I mean? So again, we'll give you weekly content in terms of the NFL season as long as with college football. You know what I mean? Give you guys some stats and updates, and with that being said, in the comment section, we'd like to see. What matchups are you looking forward to? Both on the NFL and college level, right? You know what I mean? What games are you looking forward to? What's your favorite team? You know what I mean? All of that. You know what I mean? If there's any Eagles fans that's going to Brazil, you know what I mean? I actually know a couple, you know what I mean, going to see that game. So if you are, let us know. With that being said, man, it's a No Bullshit Podcast, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Yes, sir. Peace out.